Hello there, welcome to my show. Today I'm starting the Build to Civil War videos. Basically I'm going to talk about individual films that Marvel have already done as we go toward the Civil War where half these characters fight each other. So I'm going to talk individually about films and what I thought of them. I'm going to start with the Hulk movies because Hulk was kind of one of the first ones that was made. It was Iron Man was made first of the Marvel films. It was Iron Man and Incredible Hulk. But I'm also going to talk about the Ang Lee Hulk as well because some of the people involved in Marvel worked in that film. They weren't very keen on what came out, but I think it was very influential what they changed up when they got control, because I think they did a lot of stuff different from that. But that film itself is the first one I'm going to talk about now, was a very interesting film that alienated a lot of people. So I think it was a very important film for Marvel and what happened afterwards. I think that and Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man series, the first two, were two of the more important films that came along. I mean, X-Men was also important, but I think the aesthetic at the moment, I mean, X-Men was probably important toward the group thing of the Avengers. So I'll probably talk about that then when I go to the Avengers. But for the individual superhero origin story stuff and how they develop, I think Hulk and the first few Spider-Man films were the important ones. Because I mean, the Raimi Spider-Man films were about the character. It was all very character based. Even though it was a character that was obviously cartoonish to a degree. I mean, they took sort of caricatured elements and they invested them in the melodrama and they created something that people responded to. Hulk did the same thing but was much more muted and quiet, and the stylization was much bigger, and I think that put people off. And I've noticed Marvel just have gone away from that big time, with one exception, which was the Incredible Hulk. But I'll talk about Hulk first. So Hulk is one of those films for me, like the Batman Returns, that I really love, even though a lot of people hate it. I mean, there's something about Hulk that I really enjoy, even though it does so much to annoy the audience. I mean, basically, it spends an hour and a half on character scenes for a comic book movie, and then finally gets to the fight, and then the fight goes on for an hour. And you don't need a fight ongoing for an hour with the Hulk, because the Hulk can beat anybody. So I mean, it's really lopsided. I mean, it's very, very lopsided as a plot. I have no idea why no one noticed that this was I think they just assumed, okay, well, all these fight scenes will work because the Hulk fighting things. But he's not fighting any, there's no actual challenge for the Hulk, really. I mean, the only challenge is the Hulk dogs, which is a weird concept that a lot of people hated it. So it was one of those things that as an action movie it was a real non-starter. It did everything possibly wrong that would annoy a comic book fan or an action movie fan or even a general fan, a general audience member, because it did not abide by any of the rules that would entice you in. Plus it also had a lead character who was very, very controlled and contained and quiet, and who the whole drama was about him, he couldn't express himself. That's not a good audience figure. That really annoys a lot of people, because they want someone who's expressive, who they can see themselves through, and this guy was not that. The other thing was, Ang Lee had all these comic book like split screens through the whole movie, which annoyed a lot of people because they thought it was very literal minded and he was trying something that wasn't needed. Now, I don't think that was the case. I think he was just doing a stylization. He was interested in the comic stylization of blocks of images, and he was trying to transfer it over. You may like it, you may not like it, but he wasn't trying to literally copying anything. He was actually saying, okay, how would this work? If you're using this language, how would it work in a movie? And because he's using it to express what the character's thinking and what the character's feeling, rather because he's making a very expressionistic film, because the character can't actually express himself a lot of the time. So you need to go into fantasy, you need to go into what he's thinking through other means, and what he uses was these images that are coming up, and they're showing you what the character's feeling because he's not shown it himself. So trust me, without those images, I think you'd even have a drier experience. So I loved that, but it really pushed people off. It really was something that was frustrating to a lot of people. And Eric Bana performance, I thought it was terrific. I thought it was a really good Bruce Banner, because you could sense that the whole time that he was holding something in. He was scared of what was going to come out. What was going to come out was a Hulk. And you get a sense this was year one Hulk and year one Bruce Banner. It was someone who wasn't sure of themselves, wasn't sure of their abilities. I thought it was exactly what it should have been. Of course, it's an interpretation of the character, and you have to kind of accept that's one version of the character. Just like there's lots of Spider-Mans, lots of Batmans, lots of every character you see, there's interpretations. This is just one interpretation. But I thought it was a really good, interesting one, because you sense that the Hulk's this monster. Even before you see him, you feel his presence through Banner, because Banner's trying to keep him in the whole time. And how it affects his relationship with Betty, that means that it can never go forward because he's holding something in, he's very contained. And it's a tragedy, because the tragedy is he can't communicate with anybody. And that's a tragedy the first hour and a half. And that's not relatable to lots of people. So why can't you just say what he thinks? So it's much more of like a European kind of character than a American character. So basically they took a type of character that was wrong for what people expected, and they did a tragedy rather than a upbeat movie. The villain in the movie is essentially Bruce Banner's dad, who's Nick Nolte, who's crazy, who's a tragic character, everything went wrong for him in his life. To his view, he's doing the best for his child, but it's a tough love, and it's vicious love, and it's very complicated and it's dark. And I think he's terrific, but he's really over the top. He really is. And the plotting of the character goes way off base. It really goes into madness pretty quick. And so sometimes I think they thought, we better do something comic booky here. And sometimes they really pushed it to something that is alienating. It wasn't something people could relate to. That's the big problem with the film. You can never relate to anybody too much unless you are in the very narrow frame of what the film was trying to do. I was, but most people weren't. So I can love it, but I know why people would like, oh god, I hate that film. It's one of those films. I love the fact that it exists. It didn't kill the Hulk, because Hulk's not very popular. It was just a version of the Hulk. So there's still lots of beautiful things. I mean, Ang Lee goes into the whole idea of Hulk and nature, and all these microscopic worlds, and the nuclear bases, the desert bases, Hulk fighting the army, Hulk fighting mutant dogs, Hulk fighting his father in a very psychedelic ending, and the whole idea of civilization versus your base instincts. There's lots of interesting stuff here. There's great images of Hulk just flying through the air and just being at peace with the world. And there's also some great images of the memories that Banner's repressing, because he's repressing a lot, and the repression's building towards Hulk, and because he's really hiding the fact that his father killed his mother in an argument, because his father tried to kill him. Of course, he's repressed that, and it eventually comes out as Hulk goes bananas, and that's the last big action scene, is he finally faces it and actually goes mental as Hulk. So that's terrific. For me, that was terrific, but there was nothing to hook onto for the mass audience watching this, because no one was relatable generally, so it became a real problem film. And I think since then Marvel's been much more careful about, can someone relate to this character and the struggles. I mean, if you look at any character, even if it's more outlandish than Hulk is, if you still look at someone like Ant-Man, they give him a daughter, they give him a friend, they give him a very basic aim, because they've seen it go the other way with Hulk, it was just too vague for people, and they don't go too much into stylization. They don't do all that Ang Lee stuff, and that's good and bad. I mean, it's good that the folks relating to audience. I think if they went another way, they would have just had bomb after bomb. but you're missing some of the artistry that Ang Lee gave. Like the whole idea that the reason Hulk's green is because he this little green dinosaur they played with, and that was important when his father killed his mother. That's a great touch, a great human touch, and that's what you miss something in Marvel now because they're going towards the broader. But it's still, they're still doing a very good job of what they're doing. I think that's just a very important film for them to see what we don't want to do that again. And that's like, it's like almost test of this, and this went wrong. So won't do it again. But it's still a very good film, still very interesting. A lot of people find it boring, but I love it. I watched it countless times. It's one of those movies that one's for me. I don't care if anyone else likes it. I love it, so tough. But that was my thoughts on Hulk, Ang Lee's Hulk.